Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Unfiltered with Cara Jones Unlimited LLC podcast. I'm so excited today. I am completing episode number 4 of my CJU GWO series, Cara Jones Unlimited, Grown Women Only series. Today, my featured guest is none only than founding participant of CJU GWO BHM, or Birmingham, Alabama, which was established in January of 2016. She is Queen Keisha J. Peeples. Hey, girl.
Hey, yeah, that,
And as
yeah,
you can see, we are adorned with our crowns. How you doing?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing better now that I'm here with you.
You look so pretty.
You too, you're always just such a natural beauty. It don't
And
take much for a queen like you.
it don't take much for all of us.
I know that's right. Keep it
Mhm.
100, right?
Absolutely.
So how's your Sunday been thus far? Did you do all your streaming services and all that?
Eh, I've done a few things. I kind of mostly on Sundays I take care of me. You know,
Okay.
we're big. Well, I'm a life changer with total life changes. So we're big on self-care Sunday.
Very
So
good.
you kind of take care of self, do whatever you need to do so you can set your week straight. So I do that faithfully.
I applaud you for that. I am now a licensed clinical mental health counselor. And so self-care is something that I promote on the regular. We
Okay.
have to. If we don't take care of ourselves, how will we be any good for anybody else? Am
Right.
I right?
Exactly right.
Okay.
You
Well,
have
what you say, girl?
you have nothing to give if you're empty.
What you say? What you
I'm
say?
I'm just saying.
I know that's right, IJS. I'm just saying. Well, I always, Keisha, try to let our viewers and our listeners know how I came to know my guest. And like I said in my opening statement, you and I go way back to the year 2016 in Birmingham, Alabama. Do you remember that night?
Yes, ma'am. I do.
We were at the Macaroni Grill, I think in like Vestavia Hills or something like that.
My first time ever being there.
Me too. It
It
was
was
like,
fun.
matter of fact, I think I asked you guys to pick the place where we would meet. I think it was Saniqua Murray. We want to give a shout out to Saniqua Murray. She is the founder of Simply Saniqua Pound Cakes in Birmingham, Alabama. She is
Yeah.
on your shelves. She is at your markets. She is in your malls. She's also the founder of Simply Be You, SBU, which is another social network gathering like mine, grown women only. And that is how you and I met, through Saniqua Murray. You remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Saniqua, and it was you, me, um, Adrian Lester,
Mm-hmm.
um, what's her name? Yellow girl, pretty girl, Mimi.
Yachty.
Okay, and then also Shamika Thomas, woman of God, Shamika Thomas. We met at the Macaroni Grill. I had presented to you all my vision for grown women only, and you ladies decided that you wanted to participate. And so Keisha, I don't know if you recall, but when I started Grown Women Only, my goal was to create a social network for women where women of like-minded women, actually allergic to foolishness. Remember that?
Yes.
And
Yes, I
that's the
do.
T, right? That's the T. And most of us were either already businesswomen, I call us sisterpreneurs, or we were aspiring businesswomen, but we wanted to be able to support and encourage, exhort, undergird each other. And so what I said to you ladies back then in January of 2016 is, however, Cara Jones Unlimited and I could help you market, promote, and expand your businesses, I was most willing to do that. And that is what I tried to do. And now with this podcast, since all of us have grown and moved on, you're not even an active participant anymore because you're so busy doing your own thing, as are many of the others, you know? And I'm cool with that because I understand expansion does not always mean that you can continue to participate, you know, in organizations that you initially started out with, right?
Correct.
Growth.
Right.
So it was through that, and I'm gonna quit talking in a minute and let you talk as we get into the interview. But I'm just trying to set this stage and give the people a little background. It was through all of that. And Adrian Lester, a shout out to Adrian Lester, who I met through CJU GWO Birmingham also, who is the founder of the Miss Plus Alabama pageant. And that is where I next learned that you were a reigning queen. Tell the viewers how you got into pageantry.
I have to laugh because pageantry, I used to say, was a sweet side effect of modeling because I was a model first. I became a model. I started modeling in January of 2014. And some of the ladies that I met, I even got asked, D'Angela Pippin, she kept asking me, you know, have you ever done a pageant? And I'm walking the floor the way that they told us to walk. I'm pivoting and I'm like, no. I'm smiling, it's like, no. And she kept asking and she kept asking. But I told her, no, I've never done a pageant. So with that whole thing, that kind of put it on my mind. But you know, when somebody can see something you don't see, you don't necessarily follow the vision or follow through in your mind. My mind shifted back to modeling. I'm trying to get this spot. I'm trying to finish doing what I'm doing on this floor. So she bagged off and I got done with that. And I actually got chosen and I was so happy because I was one of the oldest women in the room. At the time, I was 42 years old. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so what title did you win?
I started with Mrs. Jefferson County Plus America 2015. I got crowned on December 5th in 2014. Then that rolled over into the state competition. That's where I was under the directorship of Adrian Lester. Won state. So then I became Mrs. Alabama Plus America 2015. Yeah. Then that rolled straight into nationals.
Wow.
From April, rolled straight into nationals in the end of July. So it wasn't a whole lot of time to prepare because already I started in November. A lot of people had already started around April, May, because that's when they crown their queens so they had already started. So him coming in November on the tail end of things. And then I got to get myself together. I got to hurry up, hair, nails, dresses, shoes, opening number, all of these things. People don't think about that. There's a lot of money involved in pageantry.
Yes.
So winning state rolled in nationals. I placed in the top 15. I was 4th runner-up in my division. Thank you. And I was happy.
Yeah, I'm happy. Look at me.
Even though I didn't win the title, I was happy because to be a first-time pageant girl and to mess around and win state and then to make it to nationals and make the top 15, 4th runner-up in division, 4 is my number.
I know that's right.
So to become out 4th runner-up in my division, that was amazing. So even with that, they always had a saying, even if you don't win here, you still have work that has to be done at home. So when I came back home to Alabama, I got on my beat. I was out there. I was going to different events, speaking engagements, speaking in schools, churches, putting my stuff on Facebook. People are like, you're everywhere. And then I have people meet me in the street, be like, oh, I know you. And I'm like, what you know about me?
Wait, what you know? What you talking about?
Exactly. So that's how all of that got started. And while I was serving backstage, that's where Miss Alabama Plus America Ambassador came from.
Turn it up, turn it up. Can you turn it up so we can see the whole title? Turn it more to the right. Miss Alabama Plus America Ambassador.
Yes, ma'am. So this title came while I was serving backstage. I got crowned in 2017. So whoop, there it is. It's been fun though. It's opened doors that I wouldn't have ever ordinarily most likely have gotten in. So I've met a lot of people because of this, because this is a lot of attention. People want to know, how did you do it? What do I need to do? Okay, you look like me. I didn't think that this was possible. And that's the biggest thing that I really embraced out of this, because I was a teen mom before. So I've dealt with divorce. I had to deal with all the aches, the ebbs and the flows of life, being a single mom, until eventually I got married again, because I've been with my husband now, my second husband, for 11 years. But this is my husband. This is not paper. This is my husband.
What do you mean by that?
Because a lot of times when we get married for convenience. We get married because mostly, and that's just being truthful, I'm not knocking anybody, but a lot of people do get married out of convenience, because it's easier to run one household than two.
True.
A lot of people do get married just because they want to be married, and they feel like, okay, I'm old enough now, I don't need to be by myself. They run with whatever society says. But this time, that's why I say I got a husband, because he is a real man, straight up, down and around. Ain't no two ways about it. Straight up. All of this wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for him. He supported me every step of the way. I came home and I asked him, hey, all about the pageant, gave him the whole rundown. He said, well, you never know if you don't try. I said, okay. Because if I didn't have his support, then I wouldn't have been able to do it. Because the thing about being in the MRS division, you have to shuffle everything concerning pageants, in addition to still being a wife. You still got to cook, you still got to clean, you still got to take care of your husband. If you have children, you got to take care of children. You still got a full-time job, or if you're a business owner or whatever you.
Looks like you're freezing there. Well, while she's freezing, I'm going to show y'all one of her queen pictures. You froze for a minute, but that's okay, because I was just telling everybody that I wanted to share with them one of your beautiful photos.
Okay.
Let me see here. There we go. Let me see if I can share my screen. And you know, I concur with you. I understand exactly what you're saying about, you know, your life. You had to continue doing everything that you do. Life doesn't stop just because you're in the pageant, right?
Absolutely right.
I love this picture. Can you see it on the screen, everybody? This is your picture of you sitting on your throne, holding that beautiful crown.
I just see your screen before you share it.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully it's sharing. It may not be, and if that's the case, we're gonna leave it alone. Because you know they will try to act up with you. And we're not gonna have it. Let me see. Let me get rid of it then, because I want this to work. Where are you? Okay.
I saw a message that came up and said you were starting to share your screen.
Yeah, I was sharing my screen. I'm gonna stop though, because it ain't gonna act a fool with me today. You know, the internet, the Zoom, the World Wide Web, all of them, baby, they do what they want to do when they want to do it, but not today. Today ain't today. I ain't having it. What you say?
There's a lot of people on the internet, so.
Girl, well, that has nothing to do with this, but that flyer that I had my marketing team create, it's the picture of you sitting on your throne. I think it's on the bottom right, and you are holding that beautiful crown. Are you able to take your crown off? I just want people to see this in your hands, to see the magnitude of the beauty of it. Turn it, this kind of circle. Yeah, look how beautiful this is, everyone. Now, you won this one. Was this Mrs. Alabama?
No, actually, this is my ambassador crown. This is
Beautiful.
my current crown. They can go back and look down my page. They can click all the hashtags and they'll see my journey, because all the hashtags are there. My
And
page,
so-
My Plus is Changing Lives on Instagram or Facebook. They can
Good.
go down in there and they'll see everything. You click the hashtags on either one, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, and all of it will come up. And you can put the hashtags. They can go under in the comments or however, they'll find it. It's out there.
Exactly. You know, I love working, you know, with organized people. I love working with people who understand the impact and the influence that social media can have. You know, it gives us the ability to put information out there, right? And share with the globe. You know, you mentioned Instagram. I'm a big fan of Instagram. I used to be a big fan of Facebook, but not really too much anymore, because what I'm learning as I interact with people like you, fellow business owners on Instagram, is that there's a whole world on Instagram that interact with me. And I have to tell people, most of my followers on Instagram are in other countries, you know, and I'm appreciative, as I know you are, of anyone who finds an interest in anything that we present. But when I look up and I see names I can't pronounce in countries that I've never been to, I say, thank you, Jesus. Why? Because I'm not getting that on Facebook. It's just regional, it's local, you know, it's stateside. I'm appreciative, but we want to be global. Cara Jones Unlimited wants to be global. So that's happening for all of us, you know. And so, like you have, I know, several social media accounts. And before we get too far along, I want you to have an opportunity to tell everyone how to follow you.
You can follow me at KJ Peeples. My last name is Peeples with all E's. It's not Peoples like those people. It is Peeples with all E's.
It's Peeples, not Peeples, Peeples.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My husband told me they're gonna misspell your name for the rest of your life, so get ready. I was like, okay.
Right.
KJ Peeples on Facebook. KJ Peeples Plus Model is my model page on Facebook, and then I'm the owner of My Plus is Changing Lives LLC. That is on Facebook as well, and you can find the same thing on Instagram at KJ Peeples Plus Model, at My Plus is Changing Lives. So those are the pages that I have, and I've got a baby that I'm working on.
Yes, yes.
It is Indelible Affirmations. That is my new other business that is hitting the ground running. So I'm excited, because this is stuff that God's been pulling on me for, but I've been in my own way and not getting it done. So now it's coming to fruition.
Amen.
And those are t-shirts.
I'm happy for you, Keisha. I'm happy for you. You know, we have all of these ideas. You know, God gives us vision. He inspires us to do things, and sometimes fear, sometimes life circumstance, right, can have us to put things on pause, or postpone, or put them aside. You know, but like me, you have put things on a shelf, but you went back and grabbed them. And now, like you said, they're coming to fruition. So I'm so happy for you with your brand expansions.
Thank you. Thank you.
You
Thank
know,
you. Thank you. It's
we
about
have,
time.
what did you say?
It is about time. Better
Well,
late than never, right?
well, you know what? It's your due season. This is your season to manifest these other entities. It's just your due season. Now is the appointed time. If it didn't happen before, it wasn't meant to happen before. I think it was, who is it? Ty Tribbett or somebody said, if he did it for,
If he did it before,
he'll
he'll
do
do
it again. Well, now is the again time. How about that?
it.
Woo.
I love that song.
Okay. Well, you know, you have such an extensively impressive bio, sister girl.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
But
Thank you.
I wanted to touch on something else because when I met you, you know, every now and then when we would chat or try to chat, I should say, it would be difficult to connect with Queen Peeples because she was on the road. And I don't mean she was just driving to and fro in a vehicle, a car. She drove an 18-wheeler truck. She is a licensed professional truck driver. Am I right?
Absolutely. Over 20 years.
How in the world? What made you? Let's start with this. What made you want to drive one of them big monsters?
Well, I got into first of all because my grandfather used to have a roadside service, which was Jones Tire Service or Jones Tire. And that's where I got my first glimpse of this little old man, no more than about 5'7". And he get up under those trucks and you hear the and that was a jackhammer. He was doing his thing. He popped those lug nuts off and he get them tires together. It's a process. You can go on YouTube and watch a repairman change the tire on an 18-wheeler. It is a process, but it is a dangerous process because if you don't know what you're doing or how you're doing it, there's a lot of pressure in those tires. And that's where it first came to mind, just the thought of, wow, this is really impressive. It's great. You know, the fact that they move like they move, listening to them, seeing them, feeling the wind, having my granddaddy explain to me, girl, you stay off around them trucks. You see them, you let them go on. It's like, okay. But once I got an opportunity to get behind the wheel, it was weird because it felt like second nature. It wasn't something where I was scared of it, but I was more intrigued on, okay, how do you make it move? How do you make it turn? How can you get it to maneuver how you want it to maneuver? And the guy I was dating at the time, you know, he had his own truck, and man, I watched him load and unload and back around buildings. You couldn't even see the dock, but he back around that building and he put that trailer in there on that dock. And a lot of times he do it just like that. And he told me one day, he said, "You're gonna drive." And I'm like, "No, I am not." And he said, "Yes, you are." I said, "No, I am not." We went back and forth and I finally just let him have it. I was like, okay, whatever, because I blew it off. I couldn't see that. I couldn't see it. I could not see that for myself. But eventually I started to take more interest in it down the line a couple years later. And I started to really take it seriously because at that point, I got my license in 2003.
Wow.
But I actually been dabbling with a truck since before 2000. But I made it official in 2003. So it took me a while to just go ahead and go to school and do it. And I'm glad I did, but I wish I had done it sooner because I worked for McDonald's. I did McDonald's for over 15 years. I did management. And it wasn't until the man tried to rob the place through the drive-thru and he stuck a gun in my face. He stuck that gun in my face. I took out running with my arms out wide because Miss Cara, I had these folks' babies in the store. So all I saw was children, and I'm just like trying to gather them up and get
Come
them
on,
out of the way.
babies.
Yes, and all I heard was click behind me.
No.
And I thought that man had shot me in my back, but it wasn't that. It was a drive-through window rolling closed, and it went click. He had his foot on the brake. He was trying to rob the building. He was trying to rob the McDonald's with his foot on the brake and got his foot on the gas, and he ended up rolling away. He ended up rolling away and the window closed. But that was, at that point, I said, okay, there's got to be something different. And my mom used to always tell us, use McDonald's as a stepping stone, not a career. And at that point, that was the most money I made in my life. So, hey, I was taking care of myself and my 2 children, because at that point, I'm divorced, but I'm handling my business for my family. So I was doing what I needed to do. When I needed a part-time job, I knew how to go out there and get one. I worked around food because I made sure that I could feed my children. Always.
I want to say something right there. I have worked in fast food. And it wasn't early in life. I never thought I would. But you know what? I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And I'm going to give a shout out to every and anybody who works in the restaurant and hospitality industries and fast food. Because, baby, when you stand on your feet on them slippery floors, preparing all them different recipes that your grandmama never told you, and with ingredients that you never heard of, to feed the people, you have done something.
Oh, yeah.
You feel accomplished. And when you get that check, you earned it. You know you earned that check. Right, Keisha?
You did that. You did it.
But one thing I appreciated, besides my check and the experience that it gave me, I got to eat. And don't nobody want to be hungry. Okay, and I wasn't in a position where I could be hungry, but like you said, I said, well, Lord, not only will it give me a check, it'll feed me.
You're right.
So
absolutely.
It's and I'm gonna say something else. You can vouch for this. You were in management. Those management positions at restaurants and fast food make good money, and they have usually good benefits. Am I right?
Back then, a lot of things have changed now.
Well, they got them now, baby, because Burger King, I know Burger King, that's not where I worked. They got some of the best medical benefits ever.
Really? Wow.
Yes, they do.
It's gotten better now because my mom retired from McDonald's with 34 years.
Wow, she retired from McDonald's.
My mom
That's
was
the first time I've ever heard that.
She was a supervisor. She's done the supervisor thing. She's done the she worked her way all the way up from the bottom, from a crew person all the way up to being a supervisor. Excellent. And at one point she was a acting operations manager. So she has gone far. And there is a such thing as Hamburger U, because she graduated from Hamburger University.
Really?
Yes, ma'am. In Illinois.
Beautiful.
It's in Illinois.
Well, whomever's watching, who's ever going to listen on the various unfiltered Cara Jones Unlimited LLC podcast radio stations, y'all hearing this now, you seeing this with someone with firsthand experience. You can have a career with McDonald's.
In management.
Not
as a crew person. But it's different now. It's really, really different, because back then we used to fight to be on the schedule. Nobody wanted to be off because we had so much fun. And plus the way that she ran her store, we used to have this book, and you can order hats, t-shirts, pens, bags, backpacks, you name it. And we stayed ordering. We stayed in some gear because we made sure we put the work on the table. But it's different now because they want so much out of people now. And a lot of places don't want to pay people, and you got a whole lot of issues that are poured into it. And it's not only McDonald's, it's all over where people don't want to do right. And now
Gotcha.
we got the
Gotcha.
stimmy.
So let me say this, with your trucking career, tell me in our audience, where did you drive? How far did you drive? How often did you drive? How long were you away from home? Were you long haul? What type of trucking did you do?
I have been a long haul driver. I've been a short haul driver. I've been all across the United States, as far out as California,
Really, my home
as
state.
far north as, as far north as Michigan, Pennsylvania. Yes, that. Pennsylvania was my trade-off because they wanted me to go to New Jersey and I didn't want to go to New Jersey.
Why?
And at that time, I was pulling the Sears account. And at that time, they were killing drivers and taking trailer loads of appliances for Sears. Just
No,
said,
you don't
no,
want to go.
let me just drop and hook into a warehouse where somebody else got to deal with more of that. So that's what they did for me. So that I wouldn't have to worry about sleeping on the street being a female. In trucking, it's a little different for a female than it is for a male.
How's
Facilities. I need facilities.
So you're saying, okay, because I know a lot of the 18-wheelers, they have that bunk bed up there, right?
Uh-huh.
So you're saying your trucks had that, but you didn't sleep in it?
I had 2 beds and I slept in my truck, but me being a girly girl, I got to have facilities. Just read between the lines. I got to have facilities.
I'm through.
But I'm serious though. I'm being so serious and being so transparent. Men can relieve themselves in ways that we can't. Anywhere. So I didn't have it like that. So I was blessed, really blessed that my driver manager had been a truck driver. And just as I was coming into the company, she was switching over to being a driver manager. And nobody was left out there. She made sure her entire team was taken care of before she went home every day. And when she decided to leave trucking, her whole board left with her, her entire board. That's just how good she was.
Yes.
So that was a blessing in trucking because she kept me running back and forth between any of the Carolinas, North or South Carolina, and Laredo. I bounced back and forth for the majority of the time when I first started. Then I came home and I drove for a temp company. And that's how I got to Avery, because I used to drive for Avery and I drove for them for 9.5 years. And I became a pet queen while I was Avery. So talking to the guys on the CB radio, and one guy was like,
you broke up. What did you call it? You became a what?
I became a pageant while I was a truck driver.
Okay, it broke up again. Say it one more time slowly.
I became a pageant queen while I was driving for Avery. So a lot of guys, they thought I was playing when I would tell them I was a pageant queen. They're like, yeah, one guy even said, if you're a pageant queen, then I'm Superman. I said, honey, paint that S on your chest, let's fly. And then he met me on the ground and I gave him my social media handle and he was like, oh my God. He said, you were serious. That is amazing. And you still trucking? I said, yeah. And when I won my state title, I was still trucking.
I remember.
With the Nationals, I was still trucking.
I remember.
Yes. So it was different. Very different.
You know, it's scary to me. I really don't like to drive, to be honest. I drive out of necessity only. I am pretty much grounded unless I have to go somewhere. But my cousin, one of my second cousins, Talia Purdue, in Greenville, Alabama, she a Bama girl like you.
Hey.
She just started driving trucks. She took after her dad and her brother, Jeremy Albritton, and Ray, her dad, my cousin. And I'm so proud of y'all because I remember as a young adult, I'm gonna say, because when I was growing up, we used to drive every summer from California to Alabama to visit my grandparents, so we would see the trucks. on the road, and we would usually drive our motorhome. We had a 24-foot motorhome, and both of my parents would drive, and me and my sister would be, running around in the back. It was a big old thing. But we see the trucks and we run to the front and we would go like this, honk for us. And they would, you know what I'm saying? But
Yes,
you didn't see women. When we got to those rest areas and you saw the trucks, we saw men, we didn't see women. But I think in my young adult years is when I began to see more women driving trucks. And I was just simply blown away, Keisha, blown away. I'm like, a woman can handle that big old machine. It's a machine.
Mm-hmm. We can.
Did it scare you?
Some days it does. Even when I'm in my car and I'm moving around and I can kind of, I know what some of them are going to do. It's still scary because every time is different. And that's why I would tell people, don't ride near the wheels of a truck, because if they blow a tire, a lot of times we don't hear it. We don't know it. I watched a SUV today almost flip over because the rubber, they call it gator in the road. So when it went like it did and it flew, they're heavy.
No, it hurt. Look at that, the crease it left on my head. I'm gonna set it over here. Sorry about that.
The gator went flying, that lady almost lost her SUV trying to avoid it, because it was about that wide, but
and they swim.
Yeah.
When they blow, they swim.
Oh yeah, literally. They swim.
I've seen it happen.
I've seen one get airborne and turn on itself, and it hit somebody's car, but it didn't break the windshield. They were lucky. They were lucky because they were far enough back that when the truck kicked it up, it went airborne, it flipped. It hit the windshield, but it did not break the windshield. They pulled over, they checked on it, and they got back on the road. Because I saw it, so I stopped with the driver to make sure that the driver was okay.
Good for you.
Yeah, it is. Stay away from trucks. Just get away from them. Let them get on down the road. Let them have it, because they're good drivers and they're bad drivers.
And it just pisses me off. In Houston, we got 6 lanes pretty much everywhere. And girl, these people be cutting them trucks off. I'd be like, I'm driving this Daisy Boo. I'm over here in the slow lane. Y'all do all of that y'all want to do. I ain't fooling with none of y'all. Don't come over here and don't get too close. That's me. And when I see the truck, I'm like, peace, have your way. Have your way.
I know
people don't understand the power behind all that, and you don't even know what they're carrying. Even if they don't have a load, it's heavy. That is a machine.
Oh yeah. One of my first loads when I first started driving, I had to go to Huntsville. It took me, I think that's 278. You gotta go up that mountain and come to the backside.
Ooh, girl, I drove that mountain.
Yeah. And as we're coming to the light at the foot of the hill, the lady jumped in front of me. I was carrying a load of Deer Park water. That's like pulling a tanker. That water, I felt that momentum come forward. And the momentum, the trailer hit the back of that truck. And all I could do was lay on that horn. Across here on my hand hurt so bad for the next 2 or 3 days because it's wire and it's meant not to break. And when I grabbed hold of it, I held on to it with all I had. And when she saw I couldn't stop, then she hit the gas pedal and took off. But because I was on my horn coming to the light, people on the side roads heard it and didn't nobody pull out. And I was so thankful because by the time I stopped that truck was in the middle of the intersection and it was rocking like this.
Oh, Jesus. And you didn't hit anything.
I didn't hit anything. You just had you had all them black lines on the pavement.
Scared.
Yeah. And the truck just sitting there doing this.
Jeez.
And I'm about to get seasick with it because I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And my hands hurt so bad because I mean, when they talk about laying on it, I laid on it, I stood up on it, everything. Do you think that woman stopped to say, hey, are you okay? Are you all right? Nothing. Gone. And see, that happens to drivers a lot because of someone in a four-wheeler make a decision, the driver has to compensate however they can. And that's why a lot of drivers have got killed. That's why accidents will be so bad, because when that truck is rolling, you can't stop it. The length of a football field. Think about Legion Field in Birmingham.
Girl, The
That's the
Magic 10
limit.
Classic.
Yeah, they just had that.
Okay, and A&M
But
did win. My mama wasn't happy, but my
uh-huh.
auntie was.
I know, right? But when you think about the distance that it takes to stop a truck, that's a long ways.
Ooh.
And I've even seen where somebody's gotten hit. There was a video out, and it's probably still floating, and probably on YouTube. They had to try to stop a man because he hit a car, and the car was trapped up under those last wheels. They call it tandems. He didn't know it. He's just going on about his business, going down the road, and people
Girl,
just
wait.
honking.
I
Yes.
remember, well, you know, I'm 55. But when I was in high school, at Lowell High School in San Francisco, when I took driver's education, that was one of the few, you know, regular type electives they had at my academic high school. They showed us a video, and it was about driving around trucks on the road. And in that video, it kept insisting, admonishing you to keep at least 2 car lengths distance, I believe, behind a big willow. But in this one scene, the people got too close. And baby, that thing has stuck with me for life. Like you just said, that car ended up under the last 2 wheels, and the driver of the truck didn't even know it was there. In this video, Keisha, girl, the car went under the truck. And what we saw on the screen, this is kind of graphic. So if you can't handle this, I'm about to, you know, they look like hamburger meat. That's what the truck did.
I've seen that up close and personal. I've seen plenty of death and destruction out here on the road.
Girl, when I found out you was driving that truck, I used to pray for you. Ooh, girl, I used to pray for you. I'm like, oh, Lord Jesus, take care of and protect them. I'm serious, because I'm scared of them. I mean, I'm not scared, but it's like, I don't fool with them.
Oh, yeah, because it can take your life.
Yes, if you just driving past them. They can, you feel them suck you. When you drive past them, you feel the pressure, it kind of sucks you towards them. You be steering the other way, you know?
Oh, and it's windy today.
Ooh,
so
girl.
It's extra. You get the extra this today. Yeah.
I'm cool. I'm cool. I'll be right here in the house. I'm cool.
Tell me about it. It's something, man, because even like in the rain, that's why trucks will get on down the road, because we sit higher so we can see.
Yeah.
Whereas a 4-wheeler, you getting all this water thrown on you. We're the ones throwing the water. But
yes, you do. You freezing, but it's okay. I know you're gonna come back. Y'all know how them big wheels be throwing that water on you, and you have to put your windshield wipers on triple time because you can't see nothing when they going by splashing like this. That's what she's talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that can be bad. That's why I every chance I would get bad weather and all that, I tell people, please get off the road. Don't ride with your flashers on, because if you ride with your flashers on, the person back behind you, if they can't see, they may think you're on the shoulder of the road. You can get hit like that. You can get hit like that.
For that bit of information. Well, you know, here in Texas, we have flash floods. And when the flash floods are happening, if you happen to be on the road, and I was on May the 9th, 2019, I will never forget the day. Never, ever. We had to, everybody puts their flashers on. Everybody, because the rain can get so heavy here in Greater Houston in one of those, you know, weather storms. I remember I was driving and it was raining, just like rain, and I could see, but then it was like a white wall was in front of me, and all I could see was the flashers, the cars. I couldn't see the road. It was crazy. I was like, Lord Jesus, help me drive. It's like, Jesus, take the wheel for real, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So you're saying to a truck driver, when they see that, sometimes they can think that the car's on the side of the road, but you might really be in front of the truck.
You in the road.
Oh, girl,
you could ride with you could have your flashers on riding. If a driver think you on the side of the road, it's common courtesy for us to step over.
Get over, right.
We've been doing the step over long before they made it law, because that's common courtesy because of the wind that we bring.
Right.
So that person could step over, but they may not see you because you may be in a gray vehicle or a white vehicle, not even have your headlights on. Next thing you know, you about to hit the back of the truck. I mean, you have to think about more than yourself when you turn the flashes on, because there are so many different scenarios that can come out of that. So I really encourage people not to do that. Please don't turn your flashes on, because you could get hit or you could cause somebody else to get hit. Just because you got your flashes on don't mean they see you or they know the position that you're in.
My God,
And I can attest to that one. The tornadoes in 2011 that hit, I had to go to work that morning.
No.
I was on my way to Mercedes-Benz, and when I pulled over as close as I could to the wall with my flashers on, I still had somebody come by, and they came by so close, it shook my car because they were that close. They were over on the shoulder of the road coming by me.
A truck.
And I'm glad it was just a four-wheeler, because if it was a truck, it might have been worse. But it was just a car. But I had to pull over because it was what you saw, that white wall.
Mm-hmm.
When we drove into it, nobody knew where they were. You could not see. So I immediately.
You're saying to me, because I remember I wasn't in Alabama that day. I was living in Alabama, but I was consulting, and I was up in Osceola, Wisconsin, or somewhere like that.
Mm.
And people told me when I got to my hotel that there were several tornadoes that had devastated northern Alabama, Tuscaloosa mostly, and all that. So you're trying to tell me if I heard you, help me now, help me, girl, because I'm like, ooh, you were driving on the road and you had to pull over because the tornado was in your midst on the ground and it touched down?
The tornado was on the ground in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, and you going to Vance?
Yeah, I was in Vance.
Okay.
I was maybe like 5 miles from Vance, and it was on the ground in Tuscaloosa. But because of all the hail, the wind, the rain, it was so bad. You could see it in the distance. So I had already begun to slow down because I know what that haze is. I know what that wall of water looks like because I've seen it so much. And as I began to slow down, I mean, it was like drip, drip, and bush. And all I could do was just pull on over because nobody could see. And if I couldn't see, then I know I need to pull over. And I still almost got hit. And when I got to work, my heart was in my throat, and I walked in the locker room, and this lady just saw the look on my face, and she just held her arms out and she just held me. And I just cried. I cried until I stopped crying. And she was like, "Baby, are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm okay." And she was like, "You a truck driver, you still gotta go to work?" I was like, "Yes, ma'am, I still gotta go to work. I get my good cry on, put my big girl panties on. They gotta have this load in here because even though the weather is down here, the weather ain't in South Carolina." And I used to go to Piedmont, South Carolina every day, 5.5 hour drive through Atlanta twice a day. And a lot of times, depending on
traffic. Ooh, girl. Atlanta traffic is the worst. Ooh.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I can't stand driving in Atlanta.
I would catch Atlanta traffic going, coming. It was what it was, but I did it and I loved it because I had a CB radio on the dashboard. So that CB radio would get out for 20 miles. So I could hear what was going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your handle? What was your handle?
Miss Coco.
Miss Coco.
And that was KOKO.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, you's official. We know you's official. It was real. It was real.
Yes,
well, I just applaud you, boo-boo. I take my hat off to you because I couldn't do it. Hey, I mean, I'm not gonna say I couldn't, but I don't think I would want to.
Everybody has their gifts, and
yes,
truck driving just happens to be mine. It's like second nature now. Because in school, they taught us to listen to the truck. So there's a lot of days I would go down the road and I'm just listening to the truck. I ain't even got to look at the dashboard. I can shift without looking at the dashboard. I just listen to the motor. And I've done that in my car as well as in my truck. And then teaching people how to drive that's never driven a stick before. That's been interesting because they're like, okay, you can shift without a clutch. And I'm like, yeah, I can because I drive a truck for a living. Yeah. And see, in the truck, you have to shift once to take it out of gear, and then you got to shift it back into gear. So you're doing what they call double clutch. Yeah, and if you're not well coordinated,
It ain't
hand
gonna
and
work.
eye and foot.
It won't work. It won't work. Well,
No.
I drove a stick. My daddy taught me how to drive a stick. I had a 280ZX 2+2.
Oh, I used to love them cars.
The 4-seater when I was in college, undergrad. And my daddy taught me how to drive it. And I had fun shifting gears, baby. And I, I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, so I used to drive to San Francisco. I lived in the suburbs then, but I had worked in San Francisco when I graduated. And girl, I used to drive. And in California, when you get your driver's license, well, San Francisco Bay Area, I'll say, you have to know how to parallel park and stop on a hill.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember the hill being like this, and the testing, DMV test person sitting next to me was like, stop. I did it. Then you go a little further and you're on a hill like this, he say park. I did it. Then they say back up and park. And as an adult in my 20s, when I thought I was grown, and you'd be hanging out, going to the city for this or that at night, I'd be driving my little stick and I'd be on them hills like this, shifting the gears and holding, the pedal and the brake, the gas, and doing the clutch,
Mm-hmm.
the clutch, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Leveling off. Shoot,
Playing
don't
with
tell me. And I can do that. I can still drive a stick, but I ain't driving no truck, not no big one.
And I had to learn how to parallel park one.
Ooh, girl, the funniest thing was, the hardest thing for me, I drove a U-Haul, a 26-foot U-Haul recently. And baby, I didn't know when I got in. Well, they told me after the checkout counter, well, when you turn, keep in mind, if you turn to left, you got to turn the wheels right. Because I had on the back of me, that was it. I had a hitch on the back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, baby. I had to learn that because I almost tore up a gas station.
It moves like a snake.
Like a snake.
Yep.
But when I got it, I was gone. 9 hours later, I was where I needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do that again.
The direction that it's going, if you want it to go, if you don't want it to go left, you bump it to the left. You don't want it to go right, you bump it to the right. That's the easiest way I can explain it to anybody.
I learned
it'll do it back the other way.
I learned it.
You learned it, yeah. It's something. It's been interesting. So being a truck driver and then becoming a pageant queen, that is really,
it's really something she's trying to tell us. Keisha is broadcasting from Birmingham, Alabama, North Alabama, and I am here in Greater Houston. And, that's the beauty of technology, that especially during the COVID-19 pandemic that we're still in, by the way, is that we can do this virtually. That's why I'm so grateful that God gave me the insight to start this podcast in June of 2019. Almost a year after I had relocated to Houston to finish my clinical hours, because we can't do at this time, Keisha, I'm telling people, you're in Birmingham and I'm in Houston, but we can do these virtual events and remain safe. We don't have to have our masks on because we're on screen, right? But hopefully when y'all are out there in public, you're still wearing your mask. I know that in a lot of states, they're no longer requiring that, as they are not here in Texas, but everywhere I go in public, I have on a mask. All day at work, I have on a mask. And even though I've taken my vaccinations for COVID, I'm still gonna wear my mask, so I feel safe. And as I stated in my last interview a week ago today, Cara Jones Unlimited LLC will not present any live events until this pandemic is over. I unfortunately have lost 2 loved ones, an uncle there where you are in Birmingham, Keisha, and my auntie in the San Francisco Bay Area. As we've seen all the loss that has taken place. Cara Jones doesn't want to be a part of that, promoting events. Not saying that y'all who are doing it are doing the wrong thing, but I just don't feel comfortable with that. Now, as I talk about this pandemic, I think about this book. There is a book that you wrote. You were part of an anthology, am I right?
Yeah, I co-wrote in that one. Woo.
I believe the book was entitled Crown, as in crown, Crown of Thorns.
Yes, ma'am.
Without telling everything about the book, because we want people to buy the book and read it, give us a glimpse, a preface of what that book is about.
Crown of Thorns, Diary of a Beauty Queen was a compilation that was co-written with myself and 9 other pageant queens. It details a lot of the things that we went through, the journey to the crown, literally, the good, the bad, the ugly, indifferent, because a lot of people think that being a pageant queen is absolutely glamorous. It is to a point, but there's a lot that goes on spiritually, and you got to be ready. You got to have a team. You got to have people praying for you. They got to stay in the gap, because you have to realize not only just the pageant itself, when you're talking a plus size pageant, that he's on a whole nother layer, because there are so many women that don't have the confidence to go forward. So to be able to see somebody that looks like you, that goes through the same thing you go through, and then you seeing them elevated by doing something like this, it's mind-blowing. Because when I first got my glimpse of it, I'm looking around like, these women look like me. They are, I mean, we're the same. It's just they have on a crown, they have on a sash. I'm watching them speak. It was amazing. It was mind-blowing. So I was like, okay, well, my husband said I can't do nothing but try, so let's try.
That's
And
right.
it was amazing. And that's one thing I'll say, and you can rewind that back to modeling. Being able to have the confidence to step into modeling, a lot of people have no idea. I didn't like her. I didn't like me for a long time. I used to pick myself apart. In my early 20s, I didn't really start liking myself until I was over in my 20s. And that because I wanted to know, I asked God, what is it that they see? I want to know what people see when they look at me. And God allowed me to look in a mirror and really see myself for the first time. And all I could do was cry. So having that memory and knowing how that felt once I got into pageantry, that's been something that I do. I go out and I'll speak and I talk to young ladies about confidence, and I give out a mirror. I give out a mirror every time I do it, because I want them to see themselves. I want them to really get to a point of embracing themselves, learning about affirmations, so that they can know how to speak to themselves positively. Oh, hey, we know about encourage ourselves, but our babies, sometimes our babies don't really grasp hold of that. So giving them that little small mirror, giving them that mirror where they can see themselves, that allows them to begin to develop, okay, I'm beautiful, I'm smart. You know, my chocolate skin is not a bad thing. My whatever color skin is not a bad thing, but I can say my chocolate skin because I got picked on being a little chocolate girl. I was always the dot of the bunch, if you will. And then I was always the bigger girl out of the bunch. Most of my friends were always smaller. So that's something that I had to deal with. I dealt with the bullying. I dealt with the name calling. I dealt being talked about because my mom put us in the clothes that she could afford. She did what she could, but children are cruel. And now you got that kind of cruel stuff going on now. And now they have social media. So it's recorded.
Cyberbullying.
And it's brought up. You got memories. You got stuff that keeps coming up on social media. So these kids are reliving the trauma. And it keeps on going on. I was just on, I'm also part of a group, Hello Ruth, here in Birmingham.
I know Hello Ruth.
Yes, honey.
Hello Ruth.
Yes, Hello Ruth started with
Carissa. Is it Carissa?
Teresa.
What's her name?
Teresa,
yeah.
Yes,
how is she?
She is doing wonderful.
Tell her Cara Jones said hey.
I sure will. And so we started with that, and I'm one of the members now, and we're moving forward. We're doing so much. It's been trying because everybody has their own life, but
Yes.
starting under them, me meeting them, and my main thing to her was, I was like, look, I like what you're doing. I really want to be a part of it, but I'm married. She said, okay. And what that got to do with anything? So it's like, oh, okay, well, I want to be a part of it. And once I began to really read up on Ruth
Ooh, the
and
book
really
of Ruth.
began to understand the story, it's like,
Ooh.
okay, now I get it, because
you
each
get it.
one of us, we're Ruth at some point in our life. And even with me being married, I still had a lot to learn. I
Yes.
still had things I'm sowing into them as they're sowing into me, because they're single. So I can tell them about married life. And then I can tell them about things that's going on to help them kind of navigate their way as a single that's looking to be married. So it's been a wonderful experience, even with them. And that's how we got into all of that. So when I've done speaking engagements, I always go back and tell people about Hello Ruth, telling them about the fact that I'm still Ruth. There's still a lot of growth that has to happen in me. But I also kind of spank their tails. Look, I have to also spank their tails, because our childhood traumas do tend to come over as baggage. And if we're not careful, you will talk yourself out of Boaz.
Wait a minute, wait up, hold up, wait a minute, back it up, slow it down. I need you to say that one more time. If
you're not careful, your childhood traumas will come into your adult life.
Yes.
And you'll talk yourself out of Boaz.
Okay, so right there, we're going to put a pin in that. We're going to put a pin right there. When I have a mental health conversation, I'm going to need you to come back. Are you amenable to come back and talk about this? How you can do what with Boaz? What you say? How you say that
thing? When you got those traumas in childhood, you bring them over into your adult life, you'll talk yourself out of Boaz.
How childhood trauma could impact your Boaz opportunity.
You'll talk yourself out of Boaz.
Talk yourself out of Boaz.
I say that because I used to be a mouthpiece. I am somewhat still, but being married has taught me that I got to watch my mouth. God has shown me that you got to watch your mouth. Because see, look, let me give you a little backstory on me and my husband. I met my husband when I was 12 years old. Yeah, and I'm 49 now. Oh, honey, that's a whole nother life. God took from me being 12, I was raped at 13. Yeah, my husband was on the phone and he heard everything.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Okay, so y'all heard her. Y'all heard what she said. I had to stop her because I already told her we're going to have to come back. Now we got 2 shows we got to do with Queen Keisha, because Keisha is just a walking, living testimony. Okay. Oh, yeah. And you see that's the thing. And I thank you for having the courage, having the confidence, and the freedom to share your story.
Let's not forget transparency.
Girl, we got to be transparent. I post, you see my post? I would say transparent, transparency, because it's like my uncle said on our stream service, my uncle, Elder Freddie Carter, pastor and founder of the Well Ministries International in San Francisco, California. He said last Sunday in his sermon, we have got to testify. He said it again today in his sermon. We have got to testify, which means we have to share our stories and how God has brought us through, how we have overcome, how we have conquered, and how we are still moving right along into our purpose. You know, one of my friends, I'm going to give a shout out to my little sister, Energy, on Instagram. I posted something a few weeks ago, Keisha. And that young lady said on her, she shared my post. She did a repost and she said, walking in her purpose. And the Lord said to me when I went to share, because it blessed me so that someone shared one. I think it was one of my Talk to Me Tuesdays I do. And the Lord gave me this: purpose, passion, and pleasure. At age 55, it's okay for me to walk in my purpose, to be passionate about what I believe in, but to take pleasure in what I enjoy. Whew, girl, that thing hit me like a truck.
Oh,
when the
that was
Lord
good.
gave me that, I said, I can have fun, Lord. It's okay to not just work like I've done all my life, my adult life, work. And he said, yes, Chandra, purpose, passion, pleasure. We're going to get out of here because it's 7 minutes after 5.
I told you, hey, it's a lot. It is a lot to this, a lot.
It's a lot to you.
Well, look, I thank you. I thank you. That's why I know there's a lot for me to do, because there's many hats that I wear. Indeed. And we just scratched the surface about me and my husband. That is,
we're gonna go there on another day. We're gonna go there. We're gonna go there. So y'all have something to look forward. I want y'all to inbox me on Instagram at Cara Jones Unlimited LLC. You can also inbox me on Instagram with my new talk show. It's called the Bling Tea Talk Show. Inbox me there. You can email me at cara.jones.ceo@gmail.com and let me know how you enjoyed this wonderful, epic interview with Queen Keisha J. Peeples of Birmingham, Alabama. I have been so blessed as always. It's so wonderful to catch up and reconnect with you, my beautiful sister. Inside and out. From the day I first met you, you have never changed. You make it easy for me to love you.
Oh, I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you, Keisha. Y'all follow Keisha. She gave you her handles. When I post, you know, the edited version, because we will have to edit this from the beginning, I will put all of her different social media accounts there so that you can follow her on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Follow her. Keep up what she's doing. Support her, encourage her, and pray for her as you do for Cara Jones Unlimited. We are signing off on Sunday, April 25th, 2021. We have completed episode number 4 in the Unfiltered with Cara Jones Unlimited LLC podcast, CJU_GWO series featuring Queen Keisha J. Peeples.
Thank you.
Thank you, love. Appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. This was fun.
Was it though? Like girlfriends talking? You can't even stop it. I'm trying to end.
Hey, we got a lot that we talk about. It's plenty more.
As they say, MC Hammer wrote a song about it. He said, it's all good. Okay, here we go. Love you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Love you too. Bye-bye. Thank you.